We've been on the horn with lots of people, and we're going to roll into this thing kind of slowly. We're going to edge our way there because Mother Nature has not been tremendously kind, but we'll work with it, right? Okay, so in your binder, if this is the first class session that you've attended, what you'll find is an assessment tab. And if you haven't done so already, please pull out that pre-evaluation assessment. What you're going to do is you're going to kind of multitask and fill that out. When you're done filling it out, there's an envelope in your binder. Just go ahead and fold it up, stick it in that number 10 envelope, seal it, put your name and your role in PenUltimate on the cover of that envelope, and then hand that to the moderator. So that would, in Euclid, that would be Garth, and in at Parma Snow, that would be Dr. Broadway, and here that's me for you guys, right? So there's that. Garth's going to do the presentation today out of Euclid, and it's kind of cool. We're going to take a different slant on this thing, and you'll find that out. Each class is going to be very different. And those perspectives, all the different perspectives, are one of the things we hope is really cool about this. So Garth's going to do that today, and then as we come back next week, we're going to start to roll into some place-based problems, and we have a couple presenters that are going to help us through with that. So by all means, if you have any questions or concerns or anything, you'll find my email address and my telephone number in the binder that you have. Always feel free to reach out to me, and if I don't get back to you, if I can't answer a call or whatever right away, I will do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. So with that said, we'll just go ahead and turn things over to Garth, and I know he's got instructions on getting everybody set on their computers. Or not.
Don't worry, I was talking. It was just on mute. All right, see if we still muted. All right, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
we can.
All right. So I'm going to actually stay on the PenUltimate page for just a second. I pretty much have an agenda here, email or Twitter, so you can find me there. The links to the places we're going to use today are built into the agenda, so you want to keep this tab open on your computer as we progress. The writing prompt we're going to do is here. That's at the very end. We scheduled about a half hour to do that, so you should have plenty of time. There's some more references you might want to take a look at on PBLs, and then the Pear Deck is also as a Google slideshow, so that later, if you want to come back and look at anything, you can look at it this way. You will not be able to join the Pear Deck after we're done. So it's here there's a lot more links in the PowerPoint itself. So as you go through it, there's a lot of links if you want to check out anything. Does that make sense for everybody? We have 15 students, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. And we'll take a roll. Again, you should now have stuff pushed to your computer. You should see what's on my screen on your computer. Is that correct?
Akron can see it.
Parma, you good there?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So anyways, my name's Garth. I teach 7th grade social studies at Beechwood City Schools. For the last 11 years, I've taught some classes at Akron, and I guess that's me. So there's about 22 slides in this Pear Deck. We got 45 minutes, and part of that, we have to save some time at the end to do some other things. So anyone that comes in late to class, if anybody does come in, down in this bottom right-hand corner, when I move my cursor, the code is there so they can join later if they would like. But as I move through the slideshow, it should force yours to move through as well. So here we go. Slide 1. So the where of me. Dr. Broadway talked a little bit last week about that idea, and you should have a box on yours. On your box, I'd like you to tell me, what do you think was the main idea that stuck with you after Tuesday's class? If you listened to Dr. Broadway and what you thought about it had to say, give me one sentence of what's the most important thing that stayed with you. When you're done, there's a submit button. Click submit.
Everybody got that box up? For those of you who weren't here the other day, Dr. Broadway talked about the idea of place as an important consideration in how we think about curriculum and about how we start to think about the instruction of writing.
Was that right? There were 11 people. Okay, at the bottom, I see we got 8 people submitted, so there's still a couple more people typing. Now we got 9. I believe there were 11. Even if you weren't in the first class, you could probably just put, was it here for now? And if you were, submit something, so we'll see how this works. Something that's pretty cool with this Pear Deck is it allows me to kick up all your responses, so we can take a look at what everybody said from all 3 locations. So I'm not going to read each one to you, but I'll kind of scroll slowly so we can get a little bit about what people remembered from Dr. Broadway. Whoops. I like this autobiographical. I think that was a key idea he had. And I know if you guys can speak, you can always yell something too. I'm just kind of reading through myself. Relationship between place.
I don't know much about it.
One thing that's nice is your name isn't tagged with it, so nobody can be embarrassed. But I do have to your name, so. Memories, that idea of memories and how they shape people. A nice use of emoticon. Actually, the last one on there is maybe the one we should kind of talk about. I think that was one of the key things. Education is a personal experience. That's something we have to keep in mind as we work with kids throughout our schools or our libraries or wherever we happen to be. So I'm going to kind of move on. I wanted to kind of refresh our memory a little bit with what he was talking about. And so the first thing we're going to take a look at is the Weebly site. Make sure everybody knows what's there and how to find it. That was one of the things I was told to make sure you do. If you have your binder with you, you might want to write these 2 addresses down while you're there so that you can find these later. Both links are live. So if you just click on the HPT or the PenUltimate Weebly, which you should have that open already as a tab, we're going to go to that in a second. And the second one's the wiki space. So we'll take a first look at the PenUltimate page and just kind of walk through it again so everybody is sure they know what's going on. So if you click the link, it's actually going to open up. One thing you want to be aware of is leave your presentation tab open. So you have a tab with a pair on. It's pretty easy to remember. Keep the pair opened so you can go back and forth between what we're looking at and the presentation itself. So on the PenUltimate page, as we kind of briefly talked about, there's going to be a link to your class wiki. So the only thing you really need to write down is this address and make sure you can find it because it'll take you to the wiki when we need it. A few things to point out that are important. The email goes to Tom directly, who is in charge of the project. The directory is everybody's emails, phone numbers. That is a Google file, so when you click it, you'll be able to see that. The syllabus that is written by Dr. Broadway that some of you may need for classes is a link. Again, these are all just links, so by clicking, they're going to open those things up for you so you can take a look at them. An overview. Everybody with me okay? I can't really see it because of where I'm at, so you just kind of, if somebody gets lost, yell or have them yell to me. The class meetings is where there should be an agenda for you each week telling you what's going on, so you can go to the class agenda. If you weren't here last week, here's Dr. Broadway's PowerPoint, then the syllabus and the activity he had to do was built in. So each week there will be an added, I guess, an agenda for that week. We'll go to the class wiki last. The readings are a series of readings if you want to read further. Those are all linked by a PDF file, so you can just download these PDF files and read if you would like. These are from Dr. Broadway.
Some of those you have copies of in your binder as well. So if you go home and just, feel like, hey, I want to relax and just read a little bit, then you have those with you in handy.
Which I'm sure everybody's like, let me at that. And then the last one is the class wiki. Now we're just going to click on this real quick. We're going to come back to this and spend quite a bit of time at the end of the period on it. But the wiki is a place for you to build some things. All of you have a page with your first name and last initial, and I hope I spelled everybody's names right, but I'm notorious for making lots of errors. So if I did, you can correct that and send me a nasty gram. So I apologize. If somebody's name isn't on there, please let me know and we can add it. It's pretty simple. But we'll come back to this at the end of the presentation. So the main thing we want to keep in mind is you need to have an address. You need to be able to find this place. This is where we're going to build everything off of. If we can click back on the presentation, we're going to kind of move along. So you should have a dot on your screen. That dot is movable. I want you to find where you live and move your dot to your village or your town or your city. Try to be as specific as you can be. And if you are not on the map, then put it as close to as you can.
Where we live or where we work?
Where you live. Again, it's anonymous, so nobody's going to hunt you down. Now, what's really cool, I need one person to move their dot. So everybody's going to move it because I said that. Okay, this is actually live, so if you move your dot, it's going to move. So don't move your dot. Okay, you have to see it. That's what we do. Now, as you take a look at this, we got people from maybe West Farmington, I'm not sure. But the idea was to give a sense of where we're all located. Where's our place? Right? Where's our place at? My dot's not on there. I'm over in Kent. I don't know if Tom's on there or everybody else, but keeping in mind place. And when you look at this, are there things you know about these places? What makes these places unique? Interesting. Worth learning about. Because there obviously are some things we would want to know about each place. So in 3 words, describe your learners. You have a box again. What are your learners like? What are the people you work with like? Adjectives, I guess, would be best. Pretty cool though, isn't it? I think that's everybody with 11 answers, so if you're still typing, I'm not going to lock you out. You can continue. There's 13. So let's take a look at what people described their learners as. Reluctant, intelligent, active, smart, talkative, disengaged, fun, challenged, or challenging, I should say. Hello. Good. Glad you could join us. Do you need a computer?
Oh no, I'm not staying. I'm just popping.
Okay. Sassy, funny, friendly, energetic, creative, genius, inquisitive, energetic, intelligent, emotional, curious, tired. I'm tired. excited. So let me ask a quick question about this. Let me ask you a different question. You got a dot. The kids you see are all like that? Are they all energetic, excited? Are they all, move your dot so we can get a sense of everybody's opinion here. Some people are still in the middle. I'm a social studies teacher, so I'm going to tell you a quick story. There's a guy by the name of Rodney White, who's out of Eastern Kentucky, who did a bunch of research on social studies. It goes back as early as 1919 and basically said that on an average test of American history and knowledge, that the average score of students and people on the street is about 50% accuracy on major events in American history and knowledge. They then go on, the digital library out of Delaware does the same exact exam with students from Brown, Princeton, and Yale, and they scored in the 57% range. This idea of memorization of text and giving kids information and that they will retain that doesn't really work. We have to look at something different to change the way kids are learning. Dr. Broadway talked a lot about that, bringing it back to the individual, bringing it back to self. So as we progress through here, I'm trying to get you to think, are we really getting our kids to do the things you're describing? Are they truly engaged? Are they truly excited? Those are the things we want our students to be. Always. So in a word or two, why did you become a teacher or a librarian? This is Shannon Miller. I don't know if anybody knows her. She's a librarian from Iowa. She does some pretty interesting things. But I thought this was kind of an important picture for us since we're trying to pair English teachers and teacher librarians together. So take a minute. What are the words? Why did you become what you became?
What's it?
Is this what?
Is this what food is like now?
But, Tom mentioned that. He said that's one of the things we wanted librarians to be able to see is what really is happening sometimes in some places in schools. I don't think this is being used a lot, to be honest. But it's a brand new software.
Okay.
So I want you to look up at these answers as we kind of slide through. And again, I'm going to try to slide slow enough that you can read them. I don't know who wrote Fascinated by Libraries, but were you fascinated by the library or fascinated by the ideas in a library? What was it that fascinated you about a library? Was it all those words? Some people it was words, right?
So Garth, if I want to respond to your question there, how do I do that so everybody can see it?
Are you in Pear Deck as well, Dr. Broadway?
Yeah, I'm in Pear Deck. I'm up there. I'm waiting for you to find me, but I'm up there. Yes.
Then your answer's probably here. If you want to talk, you're more than welcome to talk. If you want me to move down, I can find it for you.
Oh no. When you ask the question about the ideas that are in libraries versus libraries, if I wanted to respond to that, so everybody can see my response to that, or to elaborate on what I wrote there, could I do that in Pear Deck?
Yeah, you still have a box, correct?
Yeah.
You can type again and submit again. So you can say, here's my answer to your question, and type whatever you would like to type. And then everybody will be able to see it. Or
Okay.
you, since you're talking,
You know how to use the system.
pardon me?
I was just trying to help people use the system.
Yeah, if you want to add something else, or you want to change what you're saying, or you want to respond to something I say, you can retype in that box and post again. It will allow you. What it typically will do is take your first answer and put a dashed line through it, saying you've changed your answer, But
Okay.
for our purposes, if you want to add more information or respond to something, you're more than welcome.
Okay.
So you just hit new answer?
Does that answer everybody's questions?
Yes.
Okay. So to learn to love, I'm not sure. I guess I'm not sure what that one means. I think maybe to love to learn. I'm not sure. Loved literature. Had a passion for literature. A non-threatening environment to children. Interesting comment. Now, very important as we progress through, non-threatening environment. Let's keep that idea in mind. People that helped me. So they came to you, they helped you, they gave you a reason to be somewhere. A desire to help people. Unlock writing puzzle. Fate. When you look at these, I think you can summarize this in kind of like passion. A lot of people use that word. Possibilities, the ideas of what you could do. Now here you see somebody change their answer. So I think that's the bottom one, is that right? Potentially. I'm not sure where it is. But
It's
this
right
one
above
here?
the.
Oh, right above it. So it was like this idea of the vast ideas. Yeah, the vast ideas. The one way that we have traditionally shared our ideas is through books. So if we look at these and we compare these to the idea, are kids getting this passion from our classrooms? Are they finding this in what we're doing on a daily basis in our public schools? Are they fascinated by the ideas? Do they see the possibilities? That's what we're going to try to talk about the rest of this presentation. Whoops, went too far, sorry. So we're going to try to talk about this thing about building an inquiry or constructivism classroom, a classroom built on constructivist theory or ideas. I guess it's not really a theory. And I tried to take a screenshot. I'll talk a little bit about this, and at the end we'll talk quite a bit more about it. But as I was looking at these, I was writing down the words: constructivist, relationships, experience. It's got to be active. There's got to be trust and culture built. You have to have kids engaged. Then I realized that there was isn't that called an acronym? I'm a social studies teacher, so you guys can say yes because you're in this room. You can talk to me. Okay? Yeah, it's an acronym, and I figured out it says CREATE. I'm like, how interesting, because the whole concept of a constructivist or inquiry classroom is that the students in that room have to be able to create. They have to be able to create information or take in information and then create it on, as Dr. Broadway said, and we talked about last week, the idea of place and who they are. They build on what they're about. Too often in schools, we're doing the opposite route. We're trying to force feed them a series of facts or information and not looking at where the kids are and meeting them there. So we're going to try to build towards this inquiry or instructivist classroom. The one that I think is probably the most important of anything up there is the idea of trust and culture. We have to build trust with our kids. In my classroom, you know, I'm at a fairly affluent school with kids that, for the most part, want to learn. And I spend approximately a month covering no content, but just building trust with my kids. And what that means is I'm spending a lot of time exploring their personalities, who they are. They understand that they can not succeed on a specific task to begin with and still be successful as they progress through. We do a lot of strange things. We do Hadoken. Does anybody know what Hadoken is? I'm just going to show you a real quick Hadoken.
Yep, it's pretty fun.
If I could type. Oh, that's not what I want. These first two pictures are Hadokens that you're seeing, and these are the kids. We talked about perspective and what it means, so we tried to get them to understand how we could use photography, and sometimes what we see isn't really what's happening. Hadokens from a video game, of course, they love that, the concept of using video games to understand, and then going outside and taking pictures with their cell phones made them very interested. And if you look at that, I know it's maybe hard to see on the other end, but I'm almost as high as that stop sign. So I got some hops there. But it's just...
Is that you in the middle right there?
Yeah, the one in the
Right.
blue shirt's me, and these one over here on the right is the kids. And the kids doing it in sync, learning some teamwork from, this was the second day of school, we're outside doing this. It's a totally different experience for them. We're not going over syllabus, we're not going over rules. We're trying to figure out perspective and how people see the world and what that has to do with our study of what we're going to do. So this becomes really important for kids. You know, but I think that trust and culture thing is the ultimate thing. It is the most important. How do we build trust with kids? With kids that sometimes, as you guys stated back, come into our buildings or into the library fearful. They fear that pressure. How do we create an atmosphere that makes them feel comfortable, willing to try new things, willing to maybe fail, to ultimately be successful? How do we teach them to have grit? Talks, there's a lot of discussion of the idea that people need grit to be successful in life. How do we teach that to kids? Well, that's something we're going to have to think about as we progress forward. What do we do when kids struggle? What do we do when they stumble? How do we get that trust where it's not about a grade, it's about the concept of learning, which is a battle. Because for all kids, it's mom expects a B, mom expects an A. And when I taught college classes, when I asked, and I mentioned this to Tom last week, when I would put what are goals for your class, inevitably 80% of the kids would write one of the goals was to get an A. Nobody said, I really want to learn a lot. It was always about the credential. What do I have to do? Now, I think is there a dot on your page? Well, I kind of answered the question, at least from my perspective, but as you look at that, and maybe we're not real clear on constructivism yet, but I'll talk more about this as we go. I wonder which one of these ideas would be the most difficult for you in your classroom? Is it building those relationships? Is it providing authentic experiences for kids that are different from a worksheet? A lot of people out there in the broader world talk about worksheets kill education. Is it to make an active classroom so kids are actively engaged in building and creating things? Which of these do you think might be the most difficult? Or in your position as a librarian, which do you think may be the most difficult for a teacher? Maybe you have to think of it as a teacher. Because if you're going to partner with a teacher, you're going to have to help them overcome some of these things.
I think we need another dot.
Another dot? What do you want to put, since I'm...
We need 2 dots.
Oh, you need 2. I'm going to show the answers, and if you move yours, you're okay. 2 people on trust, creating an active classroom. Somebody's going down to engaged. Trust. Isn't that kind of cool? You can move your button while we're looking at it.
Yeah.
Well, as we go through, we're going to talk about some of these. And in my 45 minutes, I didn't have the whole time to go through maybe as in-depth as I would have liked, but we're going to try to address some of these. So here we go. Let's see if we can get there. So, you have a multiple choice question on your screen. And I say to you, all children are philosophers. This guy by the name of Stephen Cave talks a story on TED Talks, and he talks about all children are philosophers. And then this was a tweet that a kid sent out, well, I don't know, a month ago or so. He tweeted it out, and I happened to read it. It said, we are makers, not memorizers. We are creators, not consumers. And then Dan Pink wrote a book called Drive. And his book Drive talks about what pushes people to be successful, what pushes people to be something more. And he says that students want autonomy, purpose, and mastery. By the way, the link there, if you want to click on it, is a summary of his book I wrote about on my blog. So there's a lot of links that you can, if you feel like you want to take a look at something, you can click on them and see those things as well. So on your multiple choice, it says, do you agree with all these? Do you agree with some of these? Do you not agree with any of them? Are children really philosophers? Do they really want to make? And do they want autonomy, purpose, and mastery in what they do? Now I'm going to let everybody answer here because it's multiple choice, so I don't want any change in answers. And I'm going to lock you out. So I'm going to ask, and I don't know, we'll just have to turn the speakers on. What don't we agree with? That's the one that's more interesting to me. So does anybody in here want to say, you don't have to say I disagree, but is there anything you disagree with in this room? Any of those? Okay, we're all on the green here. So somebody, what did you disagree with? Anybody? I need that cricket music we could play. Chirp, 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 chirp.
Jeopardy.
Maybe they're trying to answer and they can't. I don't know.
You laughed them out.
They should be able to hear. Can you hear me still?
Yes.
We hear you in Akron.
Okay, well, does Akron, anybody there want to say what they disagree with about or why?
Can you show us the choices again?
Those are them.
You can't remember?
No.
Okay.
We are memorizing.
I'm not memorizing.
Yeah.
That was very good. Don't memorize, that's right.
I don't think you can say all students are any of those. Some like to create, some prefer to consume, and some people actually do find, value in memorizing facts and they enjoy it. Maybe not many, but some.
Well, there's certainly knowledge seekers who want to be an encyclopedia, and we have video or we have TV shows for that, right? Where you go out and you win all kinds of money. So yeah, I think there's some truth to that. Anybody else? Well, let me ask this. Does pretty much, let's see. It's because it's hard for me here, so I'll try to do it this way. Do you guys agree or disagree that all kids are philosophers? Are all kids philosophers?
So the,
I'm going to use the word all kids.
Yeah.
so no
I
one's
use all. So some people slowly moving. Can somebody over there tell me, or anybody, can somebody tell me why they think all kids are philosophers?
Well, the kids start out asking why.
So I don't know if you heard her, but she said it seems like all kids start out asking why.
They're all trying to make sense of their world.
They're all trying to make sense of their world. Anybody on the other end?
Philosophers are confusing just like kids. Philosophers can be confusing just like kids.
Me? You mean me?
Yeah.
Does she mean me? You mean me being confusing?
I mean philosophers. Are you
Oh,
philosophers?
no, I'm not a philosopher. Well, here's what I would totally agree with what was said here. I think all kids are born philosophers. And I think they're born as people who want to understand. I think brain research kind of shows us that. But over time, they're trained to not ask those questions. They're trained. They come to school, and we set down rigid rules, and we decide how things are going to work. And even at my house, when I have 3 kids, and I come home from a work of 7th graders, and my wife's a 3rd grade teacher, and she comes home, and we're trying to cook dinner, and my 3 kids are like, Dad, why is this? Why is that? Why is this? And I say, can't you go play with your brother or sister? Stop. 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 And we keep telling them to stop. And by the time they get to middle school, they've stopped. They don't ask why. We've trained them not to be philosophers. Is that fair? Is that a fair assessment? Dr. Broadway, can you chime in there? Do you think that's fair?
I'd say yes, I think it's fair. One second, my phone went off, and so I had to turn it down, or off. I apologize. No, I think that's a fair comment, and one of the reasons I think it's fair is if we look at the type of assessments we give children as they grow older, and how children respond to your types of questions. So those of you that have experienced for a kindergartner, usually when you ask a question, they give an answer for what's ever important to them. And usually it's not the answer or have anything to do with your question. And then as you go older and older, especially the more schooled we are, the more we try to find out what does the questioner want, how does the questioner want us to answer the question. And so there's that evolution over time when we look at a lot of assessments, is going from young children who just want to share their world and what they're playing with and what they're discovering and what they're exploring, to people who, in the older grades, and even college students, they really want to know first, what do you think? And they sort of minimize themselves.
Right, you become the ultimate model. You become the ultimate model, I guess. Well, I think I buy into all these. I don't think most kids are memorizers to start. I think they become memorizers. I think most kids, as you mentioned, when they're playing, they just play. They just enjoy. They just see the world. It's their place. They rummage through everything they can find in your house. They go through every drawer. They're asking all these questions. Now, little kids also are consumers, though, especially Disney, right? Want to consume. So there's some contradictions here. But I think it leads to this. I think this is ultimately a very important thing. I'm going to have you read a 12-year-old blog from this year. She's a student in my class. She's 12 years old. She wrote this blog, I believe, in October. So the link there is to her blog. So if you click that link, it's going to open up her blog. And I want you to think about 3 or 4 questions as you're reading her short blog. It's 4 or 5 paragraphs, something like that. How do we teach kids to ask questions again? Why is it important for kids to begin to ask their own questions? And do questions matter? What type of questions matter? Does it matter if we have questions? So take a minute and read that. I'm going to give you about 4 or 5 minutes to I believe yours says to write something, right? I don't have it up on my screen, but I think it says for you to write a little bit, like a sentence or two, a couple sentences. I'm going to wait, give you about 3 or 4 minutes to read that.
Actually, on the tab, that's what. But then if it was nothing here. I don't think so. It's just for. It's just a little bit. It's just kind of.
You tried to change it.
You want how you go back?
Well, no, it just erases. So,
Oh, if you right click on that, it's telling you that what you're saying is not spelled right. So
I understand that, but if
Oh.
I, like, say, what is the question? It makes, okay, let's see if I can get to what it was doing. Okay. See, it just made the F go away. Now, if I take the next letters to make the N go away.
Oh,
So it's
it's
erasing,
backspacing, yes,
yeah,
yes.
it's erasing what's on there.
I wonder if you, push the enter button and then go back up with the cursor.
What's the enter button? Oh,
Oh, yeah. Try it again.
okay, you're right. Thank you.
I think, can you still hear me? I was on mute for a minute.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to let people keep typing. I can hear typing still. But we're going to take a quick look. Time-wise, we have about 12 to 15 minutes before we need to move on to the wiki. So I've got quite a few more slides I want to try to get through. So if we don't show your answer now, don't get upset. All of this, the one other thing I didn't mention, all of this is saved as a Google Doc in my account. So I have every single answer everybody answered, and it's saved with your name. So when you authorized your email, it puts your name with everything you're writing down. So we can go back and read something if we want or see it, but I think the point of this was to get you to look at a kid's perspective of the power of questions. I'm going to take a minute and kind of read a couple of these along with you. Again, I'm probably not going to read them out loud just because of over distance. It might not be as well. And of course, people are still posting, so it's kind of popping the new one to the top. Personal attachment, keyword. The statement I highlight, well, you just said it. I didn't even get to read on, but I'm like, this is what we were talking about at the beginning. How do you build trust with your kids so that they don't feel that way? That's a huge thing, and you went on to say something about it. I apologize. Interesting. I agree with this one, first part, for sure. And that's an important idea, back to this idea of it creates engagement. I think she used the phrase at the end, the last paragraph, something around it motivates me to want to learn more. Essential questions drive at that. They provide the kid with some reason to know. They're the questions that they asked when they were little kids. Why is this? Why is that? They're those same questions that provide them with something, some desire to learn. Yeah, go on. If any of you want to say anything as you're kind of reading these, again, I'm reading them, just kind of seeing what people had to say. I don't know who wrote that phrase, but I like that inner soul and helping kids grow emotionally towards understanding. That's part of middle school. That is part of like This We Believe, the National Middle School, is this whole child, developing the whole child, helping them become emotionally stable in a world that's chaotic, and helping them figure out how to do that. And then, of course, I think you're really talking about understanding information and how it leads to it. But that's also our job, is to develop kids that are emotionally stable, that can handle the world around them. I like that we're using trust again. I love this phrase, finding their voice. Too often kids don't have a voice. They feel totally isolated in the world. They don't have a voice. Pardon me? They feel powerless, as she said it here. So for whoever, the person that's not a teacher that said that, you can absolutely teach kids to ask questions. That's one of our, in my mind, that's a main job of an educator, is to get kids to begin to question things around them, to look at the world and want to understand. And I think somebody said it up there, it's the question of how do you teach that? How do you get kids, and she said you've got to start with the simple answers where there is an answer, and then you build from there. I think that's accurate. I think you do. I think parents do that. I think elementary schools do that. By the time they get to middle schools, I think kids should have that understanding, and we need to begin to go to these broader, big questions that have meaning. Kids are interested in justice. Kids are interested in poverty. Kids are interested in things that they see around them. So how do you take ancient world history and make that interesting? You build off the themes that kids are interested in, that they see in their world, so that they see a relationship to that. So that's what any good teacher does with literature. You make connections to the literature, to their world. You know, most books, I guess I'm not a literature expert, but it seems to me that there's central themes in books no matter what books you read. There's these themes of life, what it means to live, what it means to have passion, what does it mean, you know, there's central themes that we continually look at. I don't want to short anybody, but with 10 minutes left, I'm going to continue to move on. We're not going to get to look at all. I don't know if anybody wants to add any comments right now. But I think I'm going to move on, because I think we got about 5 more slides. So we may go quick, we may skip some, I may just talk about them very quickly. We'll see where we're at. So I think that that's where we're at. One thing I do with my students at the beginning of the year is I take, in part of that first month, we take some time to develop essential questions, or these guiding questions that will take us through learning. The link that's up there kind of provides this blog post. So this is a post from, I don't know, 4 years ago. But these were the 24 questions that the students in 2 schools, over a period of about a week, we started out with those weird questions, why is the sky blue, just crazy questions, because kids don't know how to ask questions that are relevant for content. So we started out with this broad idea of, let's just start asking questions. And through a process, we narrowed those questions down and then started getting them into groups, and we had them create questions. We talked about how and why and what kind of words do you use that have more meaning. So a little bit of language, how does language play into the type of question you use? And then we had about 60 questions that we put in a forum and allowed 220 kids to pick the top 24 that we were going to try to look at throughout the course of our year. If you look at these broad questions, actually my favorite ones are at the bottom, but I can only get so big to get them on there. These are questions that they have some interest in. And when they help create these questions that guide what you're going towards, then you can begin to get them to buy into content, to understand why they want to know or what it is they want to know. If we can't get our kids to start asking questions, then I think ultimately it becomes very difficult to get them to become independent learners throughout life. They have to start to look at the world and want to learn about what's there. So on the next one, what the heck's a PBL? It says we're going to have 5 minutes for this. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to click that link, skim that article, and in 2 minutes, write a one-line sentence of what a PBL is. You may already know. This is from Edutopia, because we still have a few more slides, and I want to make sure we have plenty of time for the wiki. So I'm going to give you just a couple minutes. And I put that idea about place there. Keep thinking about place. Sorry, everything disappeared on you because I touched something. It's still there, right?
No, it's not.
If I
It's
just,
okay.
it was my fault. I touched the screen, and this is one of those touch mice, and I just touched it, and it did it. I apologize for those of you that it deleted.
But I was trying to, I can't get back to the question. Can you hear me?
You have to speak up loud.
I can't get back to the actual question. Are you? Maybe I'm still right now.
Go back to PenUltimate page, log in here.
Oh,
Go ahead and enter CY. Yep.
I think it's the.
Okay.
Thanks for your help.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you to try to finish it, even if it's just a word or two. Again, just time constraints with what we have to do, and I got a couple more things I'd like to at least point out. I know it's rushed, sorry. And one of the reasons we're kind of looking at this PBL here at the end is the idea of problem-based learning is what you're kind of going to see next week with the two presenters. They're going to talk about place. They're going to be in a place, a community, and they're going to talk about some problems and how that could be used to be turned into a true learning, engaging environment for kids. And that's where the partners will come into play. How can you pick that kind of an event for where you are? I'm going to kind of move on because I think it explains as we go, so I'm not going to show the answers here. I'll have a copy and take a peek later. And I don't know whether we watched the video. It's a minute and a half. I guess let's do it this way. It's a minute and a half video. Should we watch it? Move your little dot.
Okay.
Okay, everybody's pretty much done. So yes, so okay, we'll go back and watch it. Wow, you guys are good. All right.
Democratic classroom.
You get sound.
Garth, does this have sound?
There's no sound on your end?
Nope.
Nope.
Oh, okay, how about I just send this link to everybody and you'll have to play it. It's obviously not going, it's playing on this microphone here, but it's not, must be picking it back up to play it. How about I send the link, and as we're writing, as we go to the writing, I'll send this link to all the instructors and you can just pull it up at the end. It is a pretty good video, it's only a minute. I'll pull it up for you. So that takes us to what I kind of define it as. If I'm in an elevator and I have to define problem-based learning, I'm going to say it's CEOs. I'm going to say it's challenges, experience, and opportunities for kids to excel and find unique ways. The slideshow you see there, if you want to click on it real quick, that was where we ended up doing a PBL, and we took kids to the State House. They presented to the Ohio Senate, so there are members of the Senate speaking as well through that picture slideshow. It really changes what education's about. It combines all content areas. It brings together kids kind of independently working to figure out where to find information they may need. They may need a librarian to help them find databases, to find information that will help them present other people or present this information to other people. In the end, it can be the narrative, their story, and it can be the persuasive why things need to change. And I'm drawing a blank on the other piece of writing. Tom, what's that?
Informational.
Thank you. I should have known that one because that's what I do the majority of. And then the informational writing. So we're going to try to build some challenges, or you're going to try to build some challenges that will give kids true experience of real-world things and give them the opportunity to learn how to write better in a meaningful situation. If we move on, because we're running out of time, so PBLs work in basically 6 steps. So we'll have to talk about that a little bit. The first thing is there has to be the presentation of some problem, some open-ended, messy kind of problem. You need a definition, a problem definition or formulation, the problem statement, what are we trying to accomplish. And you're going to see this next week as the 2 presenters come in and share with you situations in their communities. You'll be able to define some problems as they're talking. We're going to then have to generate this knowledge inventory. What is it we already know? What do we need to find out? That's where the librarian may come in. How do we find that out? Sometimes this is tricky. Sometimes you're making phone calls. We'll see where it leads. Kids create generations of possible solutions. They're going to formulate these issues in self-directed, and it's more of a coaching atmosphere. If you think of students in sports, You know, I give that analogy to my students every day. I've already played the game. I'm through middle school. I'm through my undergraduate, I'm through my graduate degree. You know, you're playing the game now. I'm going to coach you, I'm going to help you, but in the end, you're playing the game. The most important thing, I think, is number 6, and that is this idea of sharing their findings. It needs to be something public. It needs to be some big deal. There has to be a motivational push as you move forward. And you'll kind of see that as we talk and we progress through the course where that may take you. There's nothing on your page, right? Just this. Is somebody calling me from one of the locations? Okay, I guess not. So what do you think might be some benefits? And again, we're going to go very quickly. I don't know that we have time to really respond to this. You might write a couple things in there. This was a quote by one of the students who, in my class when we were doing this, said it motivated me in the beginning and it had changed me by the end. So maybe you can write down a few things there. I can supply these answers back to you later. We'll just get some things on paper right now. And we do need to move on.
Wait, it says please enter a number.
All right, it's my fault, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I must have clicked the wrong button instead of a thing. So we'll have to skip it. And maybe I'll figure out another way. My fault. I apologize. That's one problem. If you've never done this, you don't see it how it presents to the students. So I apologize. It's my error. Can somebody tell me one of the things? Well, you guys are here. Somebody, what do you think is one of the benefits?
Creative.
Creative, they said over here. Does somebody from Akron have one? What do you think might be one positive of this type of learning?
It shows them that what they're learning actually relates to the world around them, as opposed to just being focused on test scores and grades.
Great, good idea. Somebody from Parma?
They feel empowered and they realize they have a voice.
A voice. So back to questions. How questions come back into this. I apologize for not having that correct. I'll fix it, but then never use this again. So that'll.
We're going to withhold the pay you're not getting for this?
That's right. Now, this is where the issues come up. What do you see as some of the obstacles? Because of time, I'm going to collect these answers, and I'll feed these to Tom, and we will take a look at some of these. But you're going to have some concerns, and there are going to be some issues, especially as we progress down through, of some of the obstacles we may face. And it'll be our job during the 16 weeks to help you find solutions to some of those obstacles. So we're going to look at this pretty carefully. But again, I'm going to kind of move. I'll give you a second to write some things and submit. I will say that the number one obstacle I always faced was the hitchhiker.
What do you mean?
It's not a number there, is it? There's like 10 choices, and I must have just clicked on them. The beauty of this, though, is we don't project. I have everything saved in that Google Drive, so I can pull this column out. We can project it whenever we choose and come back to it. Pretty amazing stuff.
Free?
Yep.
Really?
You can,
Make my own account.
oh, yeah. It's tied into your Google Drive. I can show you how to do it at the end. It's free. There's a paid-for version, but the free version, the only thing that you can't do in the paid, you can't do is the draggable. All the other stuff is you can do with the free.
Thinking of my teen book club.
Oh yeah.
You know, using it.
I'm going to ask you to answer at this point, and then I'm going to move on. We will bring these answers back up as we progress, because we are really at about 10 after, and I got to make sure we leave plenty of time to look at that wiki. So on the next box, I'm just going to talk about this real quick. It may ask you to write something, but here's what I want you to think about. A constructionist, or constructivism, this theory of constructivism is the idea that kids construct their own knowledge, that in the end we can tell them whatever we want to, much like I could tell you all these things I want you to know today. And in the end, you're going to walk out of here and construct whatever you think it is that's important from what's been said or been done. Well, I look at this image, and what I try to say to people is this image is all we need to do as teachers. That's it. We build the frame, and the frame is built on our standards. So we take the Common Core, we take the informational text, we take these writing pieces, and we have to build those, and we have to teach kids how to do that. But we should not, like many teachers do, side this thing, put a roof on it, build the chimney, add the doors and the windows, put in the carpet, decorate it with flowers, because in the end, the kids have nothing to do. Constructivist believes that the kids have to go from the standards. So we're going to create a structure for the kids, and we're going to create an outline to the kids, and we're going to give them guidance. But in the end, the kids create. The kids build. The kids do the learning. Harry Wong says that he who does the most learns the most.
All right.
I think there's probably some truth to that. So we're going to move on. So how do you define education? We're just going to skip that, and I'm going to leave you with this one. Well, maybe it's something like this. Education for most people means trying to lead the child to resemble the typical adult of a society. But for me, education means making creators. You have to have inventors and innovators, not conformists. And in the world we live in the technology world that we are faced with, kids need these skills just as much as they need other skills. So I'm going to ask you now to do a quick drawing for me of how you feel. So you have a pen, and you have a little thing, draw a picture for me. I feel this way, I feel that way. This one we have to do because it's fun. And I like fun stuff. So you're going to draw a picture of how you feel right now.
Paper.
Do you find the stuff?
Remember, there's papers in your binders.
Oh, they can draw it right on the screen.
I can put it on the screen.
Oh, okay.
You can draw it right on the screen.
I need paper.
It's really fun if you have an iPad. Or if you're, by the way, this Pear Deck works on iPads, cell phones, tablets. So the kids actually like to use their cell phones the best, ironically. But you can draw with your finger on a touch screen. 30 seconds for your picture.
It took me a minute to figure out that there's a box.
Oh, yeah,
Then you can't draw it. No, but you can't draw everywhere. You have to draw the box.
10, 9, 8. Well, let's just see. Let's do this. Oh, I'm not sure if that's happy or sad. Happy. Happy.
Nice.
That's nice. This poor person. Happy. Oh, she's like a flower. Help. I'm not sure what that is. But I want to point out, they figured out you could use color. So that's good. Got a question there. Does that mean you're mad at me? You're on your way. Meaning home or? I'm not sure. This one I think they're still drawing.
I am.
By the way, all your drawings are saved, so I'll give these to you on the last day. It'll be quite the memento.
Okay.
Everybody respond. I'm going to move on to our next one so we can go to the wiki. All right. So here's what we got for the wiki. We're going to click on this link, and I'm going to show you this as well. So I'm going to do it with you, but I'm going to read these directions to get you started. When you click on the link, it's going to open up a new tab, and it's going to be the PenUltimate Wiki space. When you get there, on the right-hand side, you'll see your name. When you click it, it's going to open up a page with your name on it. In the upper right-hand corner, there'll be an edit button. Now, I'm going to show you this as well, so don't get too worried. And then type as usual, and when finished, you're going to click Save. Your work is then saved on the web, and it is viewable by everybody in PenUltimate. Okay? So to do that, you click the word PenUltimate, and you can just follow me if you're not already there. Along the side, you will find your name. So I have one that says Garth Example Page, so that's the one I'm going to go to. You can find your page. First, does it work?
We
I
don't
want to
have.
make sure it works, because I want to make sure I didn't have it locked or there was something wrong and it didn't work.
How do we get
When you
that?
get into your page, is your name not there?
Wait, how do we get to that screen?
This screen is right here in your in the Pear Deck. Just click this link and it'll automatically open.
And then go to
Okay, scroll down and you'll see a business system.
Right here. Yeah.
we have a box.
Oh, you have a box there? Again, it's my fault. I can't see what you have. I can only see my version. I must click something again. If your name's not on there, you might have to see more. There'll be some more. When you click it, you now have a page with your name, and it says the word Edit. If you click Edit, it's going to change. There's a box that will appear, and now you can just type as normal as you would normally type on a web page. So you can delete that and say, you know, not Z, I would be tired. Hi. Now, all you have to do when you're done typing is click Save. It will automatically save whatever you've done. The page is now saved with whatever the text is. Can everybody just get that to work?
Everybody clear on that?
So just hit, I was gonna say hi, just let them know.
So if anybody's having a problem, I'll respond to that. But I did project up, so on the main screen in your building or in your room, there should be like a little assignment. So it says kind of write about the following 3 prompts. Tell me what makes the following places special to you. Why are they unique? What makes them worth knowing about? Or actually, I'm sorry, my typo's there. But anyway, your hometown, where you live now, and your school community. The photo thing we may have trouble with because of time. You got 15 minutes. That's about 5 minutes of writing on each place. If time permits at the very end, I'll show you how to upload a photo of some of those places or something that's interesting or unique. If not, I'll make a quick tutorial, and we'll have it in place for next week. When you come in, if you're waiting for class to start, there'll be a tutorial on the class meeting page that shows you how to do that. Hi. You brought pizza? For us? No, that's not us. I wish it was us. They brought in pizza, but it was for Toastmasters. Darn it. I don't know where they are, sorry.
Okay, all right, thanks for letting me know.
All right.
Akron and Parma, is everybody able to get their wiki to work?
Yes.
Yes, yes, we're good in Akron.
Okay.
disappears now.
So if you're gonna take a couple pictures, I won't be sure without your permission. Okay?
I didn't do my hair very well today, but it'll be okay.
What are we doing? Come see like this page. Oh, there's stuff.
Hey, Tom.
Yes?
We are sitting at 5:30 right now, so I think the image we're not going to get to tonight, I'll make the tutorial like we talked about and post that. Is there
Yeah,
anything you
that's
want to
great.
say tonight?
No, I just wanted to say thanks to everybody. It seems like we're picking up people as we go, and I hope that people found today's session real valuable. And in concert with Dr. Broadway's presentation, you can see what we're going to do is we're going to start to build, and then ultimately we're going to turn the course over to you. So next week's going to be really fun. We're going to be talking about the national park, which all of us are kind of living in or around. And then we're also going to have a real interesting PBL that goes all the way back to the Civil War and some interesting stories about that. So I can't thank you enough for investing the time, and I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday.
And I just want to make sure everybody clicks save. Don't walk out without clicking save in the upper right corner. That'll save your work, so when you come back, you can edit it. If you want to add more, you can do that at home. It's a live web page, so whenever you want to add, you can just click edit, add more stuff, and save. I hope it was helpful. I apologize about the head cold in my voice. So have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.